things do go wrong, though. So we'll just have to see. Eyes will be largely on Khan, because Gangplank Nah on paper is often okay for the Gangplank, but doesn't always work out that way. And Nah can certainly get him down low in the earlier stages. And with the help of an Olaf, it really might become a really rough time for this GP. So, Eyes will be up there, but also the rest of the map. How much space will Canyon have? And how much can he finesse this jungle matchup as well? Because we've seen Graves catastrophically fail at dealing with Olaf so far in the LCK.
Yeah. I do have a bit more faith because it is Canyon. And I think that... this time around, I think Damwon Kia were kind of shocked. Where is Khan going?
He's going to the wolf camp and going back.
He's going on an expedition here. I'm just pretty glad he wasn't found out, I guess.
Yep, well, they'd never know. That's some deep vision, though, now available.
And it's...
as you can see, Canna in position, spamming some emotes. I like it.
It's really smart, too, because the fact that he went totally unseen means that he was able to get that ward, and T1 are not really going to know about it because they're not going to see him running out of the jungle and potentially expect a ward in their own jungle. So, a cute little play. You do have a pause.
Valdez, is this the same as what you were experiencing the other night? Last night, in fact? Because we could be in for a long one if that's the case.
Well,
maybe it's just that time again.
Just that time of year, perhaps.
Faker's, the lights turned off at Faker's section of the desk, unfortunately. So I don't know what happened there, but something went wrong. Yeah, so we're just going to make sure that we find Faker again. Turn the lights back on. Maybe it was Casper. Maybe he's moved.
Yeah.
You know, he was at Breon's house, and now he's haunting, you know, turning off cameras and doing weird stuff like that. I did actually just check in the monitor to see whether he's there.
Good.
I know a lot of you weren't here for our previous series, so this is probably not making a lot of sense to you. But, you know, there was another pause, and we were having a bit of fun.
Yeah, there was a ghost.
There was.
Not this ghost, this player Ghost. We didn't really get to see too much from Ghost in Game 1. Played the Samira, and kind of just never had an opportunity to pop off in any way. The early team fight where his counterpart, Gumuse, he picked up the pentakill was so early on in the game. I mean, it was like, 12, 15 minutes in. And so he just got so far ahead. There was never a chance for Ghost to skirmish with anyone, and they never really had another team fight where Samira got any room. So we didn't get to see him pop off, no popping off from Canyon. It was just across-the-board domination from T1.
Yeah, and they didn't actually have very many options in their draft in order to get back into a game either, so certainly some flaws there. But this is the next game. The draft is looking a bit better. Certainly a lot more cookie-cutter. You know, we've seen drafts like this many, many times throughout the history of League of Legends. Feels like you can never really kill the global power and skirmishing of a Gangplank comp that has a lot of, you know, pick and poke. That Damwon has managed to select for themselves. And then the all-in follow-up is actually very, very nice with Kai'Sa now available, also able to offer the Void Seeker. If you go for a Nash's build, then that Void Seeker does so much damage to go along with a lot of the poke that Zoe's going to be putting out with her Portal Jump and Paddle Star combos. And I think that there is certainly a lot more flexibility in Damwon's draft this time around. So it'd be pretty crazy if we saw, you know, our next two teams getting wins on red side in the one series back-to-back, giving us that game 3 that I know everyone wants.
For sure. I was just looking at Ghost. He all of a sudden looked back at a screen. He was freaking out. He's like, wait, the game started? Like, guys,
where am I?
I didn't know.
Well, he's shooting a blue buff, so I think he's going to be okay. You can see Khan on his secret mission is able to, you know, get in there and get vision of Ellen, who's going for that Ghost Olaf that we've seen rise to popularity over the last couple of days here in the LCK. As Faker struggling with Showmaker Zoe here in the early stages. Of course, Showmaker, one of our best Zoe players. always a bit of a debate as to who the best Zoe player is in the LCK, because everyone plays him.
Yeah, there's too many of them. Too many of our best mid laners play him to an incredible degree. I mean, Chovy's insane, BDD's insane, even Faker can be insane on the pick.
Even Fly pops off on it, man. It's really hard.
Yeah. Pretty insane. Khan has a really nice win rate here on the Gangplank, 76.9.
Yep, glad the memory paid off on that one. Of course, he dominated the LCK, largely with picks like the Gangplank. And you saw just how well the trading works if Kana ever gets into melee range, and Khan can stack up that his Keystone very comfortably with his parlays that he's thrown out as well.
That's exactly what happened.
Damn.
This is not looking pretty
This
for
is a
Kana.
roughie.
Yeah. Again,
Sometimes as a play-by-play, I feel worried about calling, good matchups, because sometimes I get it wrong. This time, feeling like I'm doing okay.
you're fine. We're gonna have the Atlanta list
The
here.
Quinn pick, that was an awkward one.
Yeah, I mean, Quinn is that's like another cursed champion in the LCK, and so far Gnar has been a bit cursed here in the early stages of 2021. 1-6, 1-7, something like that. Only has the one victory, and it was a game that I think it was Rich won, and basically he lost in lane and didn't get anything. Better top wins, of course.
Yeah.
But that's just the story of Gnar, like nobody has really been having too much success. The only player that I saw play Gnar and I was like, man, this is actually a pretty good pick. I want to see this more, was Kingin, actually. I saw him play that. He had two pretty insane engages that were nice.
That's a big flash in as Carrier. Gonna get headbutted, then pulverized, and Beryl actually played that exchange out very, very well. So, Flash, gonna be invested, but they do get ghosts in response.
Yeah, funny that he felt like he needed to flash there just to make sure that he didn't get burst down or anything. So much warding in the enemy jungle. It's now the rotation coming in from Beryl and Ghost. But Ellen just going to play it safe and walk away. Note that he has Smite Ghost here. So that's going to be the choice for him this time around.
Yep, Khan continuing to do some gangplank things up here towards Kana, who's just continuing to have a rough time as he hops out of the way of the barrel. But it's not going to stop Khan moving towards double the CS value that this Gnar has put together. Big minion wave starting to stack up, so of course Kana is going to lower that gap by a little bit, but it's not looking like it's getting better anytime soon, Valdez.
Yeah. Khan is spacing this very nicely. You notice how he's moving back and forth in between the enemy minions and the enemy champion, just trying to bait Kana into range to get parlayed, and that's exactly what he's doing. The early damage from the GP obviously going to be really annoying to deal with, but Kana eventually, once he gets a couple of items, or even before then, we'll be able to handle this lane much better. So annoying for now. And that's one of the things about the Gnar, it's seen as like kind of a safe pick in the lane, but often, so far at least in the LCK, it's just kind of fallen behind everything that it goes up against. So kind of leads to us once again questioning the priority from a lot of the teams.
Yep, it's another one of those times where you have to have the conversation about, are scrim statistics really all you need to be looking at? And also, we learn a lot about why these things are getting picked, because it's happening so much in practice, and it's doing something that it doesn't necessarily do on the LCK stage. And we all know what Gnar can be capable of, but unfortunately hasn't worked out so far in the LCK, so it's raising some eyebrows. Kana will be able to find his way into this lane right now as Khan getting lower and lower on the mana pool and doesn't have any corrupting potion charges yet, but we'll see what he purchases when he heads back to base.
Yeah, there was a lot of focus on the jungle matchup in our first game, but as I was kind of alluding to, I don't think this early game is going to be too explosive. I think it's going to be a lot of slow and steady, objective taking. Now, Elam had to clear out 2 control wards, so he's seen the entire way through. Great vision coverage was there from Damwon Kia. Now cleaned out, but it does mean that he can't just, of course, walk up to the Drake unseen. That first... Okay, what's going on here, Khan? I did not want to see that. But unfortunately, we were subjected to it. But yeah, that first Infernal Drake going to be on the minds of both of these junglers.
Indeed. Yeah, in fact, yeah, Graves and Olaf just love trying to take it as early as possible. Let's see who's going to be successful here. So far, Canyon has navigated his jungle a little bit faster than what Ellen has. But Ellen will be able to grab this Rift Scuttler and be absolutely fine. Minion Wave crashing towards the top side as Khan is going to hold onto his teleport, much like what Canna did. So, all's a bit quiet. Canyon looking at this one, and you can see passively, Damwon Kia are just moving further and further ahead. Both Showmaker and Khan doing very well in this laning phase, and sort of reminding me of, the Damwon of old, solo lanes are the way you win the game, as Canyon's going to be able to take down this Drake quite easily.
Yeah, it feels good when everybody's just kind of slowly creeping ahead, for sure. You also get that Infernal Drake that comes in for the side of Canyon, and an Ocean Drake up next, so we're either going to get Mountain or Cloud Soul in this game. I think the Mountain Soul would be pretty gigantic for the side of T1. You think about Wombo Combo team fighting with, kind of tanks, a very stable, traditional comp, if you will. And I think the Mountain Drake will scale really nicely with the amount of resist that they will be building on multiple members. And here we're going to have our first skirmish, it looks like, as T1 are trying to take this Rift Herald.
Yep, Showmaker, of course, has a redemption as Khan. He's going to move on over. He does have the Cannon Barrage, remember, as the redemption does go off, giving them all the information. There's Keria going through the Gnar ult into the wall. Is only going to land onto Canyon as... Oh, collateral damage is massive. Ghost dives into the backline. The Gnar is going to die first, but it's a double kill for Khan. This is a disaster, but the other side as Damwon Kia get a 3-for-1.
That was pretty massive. Beryl ending up getting the engage we were looking for in game number 1. He shows us why his Alistair cannot be underestimated, and T1 don't even get the objective here, so a massive swing gonna go in favor of Damwon Kia. A fantastic engage. It was kind of funny to watch Ghost get into the backline, and then he's like, wait, I'm here over the wall by myself, alone. Yeah, if the fight did not go on their terms, he would have just been killed immediately, but thankfully he had some support eventually from his team as a taunt here.
Yeah, Beryl looking for a headbutt pulverize. Does get it onto Faker as well here as Ellen's going to turn up, so Beryl has to get out of there. Ulti just back available, so he is, of course, going to be absolutely fine. But Faker regains control of this lane as we go back to a little bit of calmness. And looking for a bit of a reset here between Beryl and Showmaker. So some free time on this turret for Faker. That was so satisfying. Watching that Reaping Slash out from Gumayushi.
Samira.
Stunning stuff.
Can be pretty satisfying when when the time is right.
That wasn't Reaping Slash. I think is a Yone ability, by the way.
Okay.
But she's got like a billion different versions of all of her buttons. It gets a little bit
Slasherino, you can call it maybe.
Yeah, the Slasherino.
I think that's the official term. Ghost's gonna get here.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's probably more interesting than the official term, to be honest.
Let's not name any abilities. I don't think Riot's going to be calling us up asking for some help on naming these abilities. We're going to take a look at this replay again. So the Shirley, was very low, but because Keria moves forward and kind of forces this engage, it's kind of half in, half out. It's not really fully engaged upon there from T1, and then they just get flashed on by the Alistair, and there wasn't much escape. Ghost, very sad up against the wall there. His flash was about 20 seconds away from getting off a cooldown from what I remember. And yeah, it was just kind of like, we need to kind of engage here because Keria went in with the first taunt and he went very far forward and it kind of pulled T1 out of position, and then they were kind of scrambling to get away, and that's exactly when Damwon Kia pounced. So that's that kind of ferocity you're going to see from Damwon Kia. You give them even an inch and they are just going to jump on top of you right away.
Well, Cara Plate going to even out things in the mid lane as Showmaker collects that one. Canyon going to give Elam a bit of his own medicine here as he steals away the chickens. And you've got an Essence Reaver already completed here for Khan as well, so probably going for his Divine Thunderer as his next item. And this guy is real strong, close to 1,500 gold in the lead over Canna. Only has a weird blue knife to his name outside of his shoes.
Yeah, kind of looks like an upside down shovel or something like that. That's what I thought first time I saw it.
A trowel, if you will.
Yeah, you know, it's just a bit weird.
Are you gonna? I'd probably take the scythe, over the trowel.
Yeah, looks cooler, that's for sure.
It does depend on whether or not you're doing plastering. If you're doing plastering, then maybe the trowel's going to be much better than the scythe. But
yeah,
if you want to shoot barrels so that they destroy people, looks like the scythe doing a lot of work there as Khan just sending a bit of a message over to Canna. Lopsided though, Valdez, as we've got bottom side of the map absolutely getting out of control for T1. It's Gumayusi with his mythic item already completed. That shield bow is done, and we're a long way away from that Gale Force for Ghost.
Yeah. I'm glad you pointed it out because at the end of the day, yes, I mean, Damwon Kia did take a big fight, but there still are two big scaling carries that are in a good spot. Faker's farming really, really well in this game, and so is Gumayusi, so much more ahead of his opponent right now. So there's still a chance with these two fed carries, essentially. It's still early on, but there's a chance for them to...
Oh, damn, that was so close to the paddle star getting the work done, but the Drake is taken by T1. There's the knock-up with the Justice Punch from Carrier, but he has to get out of there. Beryl, Unbreakable Will over the wall, is going to survive as heroic entrance. Not going to be able to do anything, but does stave off Damwon for now. Bubbles going through, and Carrier actually going to get hit, but Justice Punch creates enough distance, so they're not able to take him down. So everyone's going to survive, but T1 do manage to secure the dragon.
Yeah, and, just the one Ocean Drake, it's not going to be a huge difference, but kind of nice, if they can get in, disengage, maybe poke a little bit and get out, or try to sustain against some of the poke that, of course, Gangplank, Zoe, and Kaisa can do. It's not half bad. And we saw in that fight, even though Ghost had a pretty nice position to try to shell out damage, he just doesn't do damage yet. He's sitting there, he's desperately shooting them over and over. He's got Beryl with his ult up right in front of him. Doesn't matter. He's just not really in that
Maybe
position.
He's using a trowel as well.
Yeah, well, he's got, the sprinkler there, the golden sprinkler, as his item.
Yeah. He's got a quiver, but he just doesn't have the bow yet. He's just throwing the arrows, and it's not really working.
He's got the pin.
As that paddle star got pretty close as we have a look at this fight.
Gumayusi able to block out a lot of the damage as well. And Beryl got low pretty fast, that true damage that comes out from the Olaf, and he's like, okay, I guess I just gotta flash over this wall, and Ghost is there pummeling them, but not doing anything at the moment, so they're able to get in and get out, not really taking too much damage on their way out. And T1, yes, they are behind, but they do have some big tools. The one scary thing for T1 is the fact that the Gangplank is already 2-0-1. I mean, this guy, he's a huge scaling piece on the side of Damwon Kia. You mentioned they brought a scaling piece this time around compared to Game 1, and he's kind of out of control. Not to mention Showmaker, who is playing his very favorite Zoe, is quite fed as well.
Yeah, he's doing pretty well. Although Faker, of course, able to hoover up a whole host of minions. He's staying well and truly within touching distance of Showmaker, who now is shoving another wave towards this turret. Bubble actually going to connect onto Faker. They're stopping the back. That could actually be really important, as there are no more turret plates, but they might be able to crash down this turret. And to go once again and talk about our friend Wolf's favorite point ever, this could finally be a Zoe taking a turret in the mid lane instead of the other way around.
Whoa. Yeah, Zoe, she's got some good wave clear, but she likes when the minions are all bunched up. So Showmaker was like trying to clear it, but he had to wait until it crashed. And that gave some time for Faker to potentially not use the teleport, but he did have to in the end because of that very important point that they want to keep their mid tier 1. But take a look at the bottom lane. I mean, this is just like... We are...
This is
Gumayusi's on another planet right now. He's not like 6-0. He's not like last game, but he's still just... He is just miles ahead at this point in time. He takes that turret down. He's up 40 CS.
Oh, Canyon now looking for Canner. He's got that red buff as well, so he's hunting him down. Just stands his ground, and the Gnar doesn't hit him. And Canyon just didn't use his Gale Force, didn't use his flash. He just stood there and said, no, this is my turret.
Yeah. He didn't even use his ult. I mean, he just sat there and was like, okay, I'm just going to shoot you, I guess. I think he felt a little bit apprehensive about chasing all the way down the lane. So he was just like, oh, you know, we pushed him off the turret. We got the turret. That's good enough, I suppose. But it did look pretty silly at the end of the day.
I don't blame Canna either, because you'd expect Canyon to keep walking, but no, he just stops. No. I will not get hit by that ability, silly little orange guy thing. What kind of animal is Nah? I was trying to search for... Is a possum? Looks a bit like a possum.
Yordle.
Is he all Yordle?
I think so. He's like a furry Yordle. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Although I guess most Yordles are also furry, but I'm not sure about that. You'll have to consult Riot's MMO when it comes out. Maybe they'll give a more in-depth description of what kind of
That's what we need. We need the lore. Yeah. Prehistoric Yordle is one from chat that I quite liked.
Yeah,
so maybe
that's
it's
pretty on point.
Reminds me of Encino Man. Have you seen that movie? No, you haven't. So let's move on. Showmaker throwing out a trouble.
Never even heard of that movie.
It's Brendan Fraser. It's a good one.
Okay.
As we've got a Rift Herald here in the mid lane, so we're going to bring things back to how this video game is going. Paddle Stars starting to land here from Showmaker, and they do hurt. As Undertow flies in, that's Faker doing a lot of poke damage, though, as the tower is taken down by Shirley. Showmaker looking for bubbles, finds another one. That angle was beautiful as Paddlestar will connect onto Elim. A lot of damage there.
Yeah, it looks like DK might just be able to scoop up this Cloud Drake. Doesn't look like they want to go into the darkness. If you notice, there's really not much vision around the right side of the mid lane here for T1, so they say, okay, you know, it's a Cloud Drake. We don't need to fight this. We stop the Rift Herald push. Yes, we lose our mid turret, but it had about 200 health. Anyway, Faker's in an awesome spot here.
Yeah, Ghost just going to get Emperor's Divided. Has to flash to get himself out. Carrier looks a little bit silly as he jumps down on top of nothing, but Faker sending a message that is well heard by Ghost, having to flash away.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Like, this is why I don't want you to count out T1 if you're a guy in the chat and you're like, oh, Dom wouldn't have got this. Because they certainly do have a couple of carries, and they're really feeling it today. You can tell. Even Faker looked good in Game 1, even though he did get ganked that one time. Still looks on point. And as a team, I think that T1 are really rolling pretty well right now. So you got to give them credit. They still have a couple of Fed carries, and we'll take another look at this.
Just stands there. I mean, I think that was also auto attack range, so maybe it's just that.
Monka W. That was pretty funny. Thanks for that, Observer team.
Yep, Jonas Strong. I think that had his signature on it. As far as what I could tell.
Yeah, that's one of the beautiful things about the LCK. We have one of the best Observer teams for sure, if not the best.
Yep. Oh, man. Great stuff. Shield Bow actually came in from Khan, trying to keep himself a little bit more healthy throughout these fights. We'll see whether he builds more defensive items or just goes for damage after this, because, of course, you do get free defensive stats with that as your mythic, so you can feel free to build a bit more damage on this Gangplank. Likely to see Infinity Edge coming through, but he might sneak a Collector in there as well. See where he goes with the item build on this Gangplank. Divine Sunderer is something that a lot of other people do like, but here in Korea I feel like there's a few more shield bows, but I like these mythic items, man. There's a lot of different options that you can go with.
Yeah, I think Riot have done a good job with the new items, the item changes that have come in. It's offered a nice amount of variety. It's been pretty good. This top lane, it does look like Kana is having a little bit of a better time. You know, he's not really going up to try to challenge the GP, but he's just sitting back, farming it up. We haven't really been able to see him have a huge impact in any of these team fights just yet, but he still has that ability. He hasn't fallen too far behind, even given the circumstances of the super fed GP from that first team fight.
Yeah, and actually, as the game goes on and as T1 are able to, utilize their fantastic macro that they've already shown to us, these turrets are going to start falling down, and that gold lead, you can already see that it's falling away. The CS numbers are getting further and further in T1's favor. Gumayusi, of course, very, very responsible for a lot of that, as there's a Pulverize looking for Elim. Just wanting to get the Ragnarok out by the looks of things, as Beryl says, well, this is not actually where I want to be. And Canyon loses half of his health bar from 1 Q out of Faker. Khan now fighting up against Canna. Meganar is going to come in, and the shield bow. Can it actually turn this? The shield was so valuable, and Canna, unfortunately, just not able to do enough damage. A bit of a silly idea, but he was closer than I think a lot would have expected.
Yeah, I think you're right. A bit of a silly idea. We'll have to see how that started. Did Khan wait in the brush and maybe bait Kana into a fight or catch him by surprise? Because, again, I said Kana is okay to sit and accept waves. You're not fighting into the 201 most gold in the game shield bow GP as the Gnar right now. You're never going to be in a spot where you're happy to take that fight. So, yes, Kana just walks up to him. He's like, yeah, I'm just going to poke you down.
Oh, the barrel he prepared earlier, Valdez.
Yes, I mean, certainly helped. But at the end of the day, I suppose the beginning of the fight looks so good for Kana because he was just kiting him down. But at the same time, I think you just got to give respect to the Fed GP at this point. And now it was about 2,000. Now it's 3,400. So you were in a bit of a hole. You didn't have to take the risk, but you did. It was looking good. A little bit of a mistake there, and Khan does a great job baiting him into that fight and is able to take even another step in his massive lead.
3,500 gold. That is way too much gold, actually. Showmaker gets another redemption. But it's an interesting factor. When you've got the Gangplank sitting in a side lane, oftentimes you think that, oh wow, is their top laner really fed? Are they in a side lane? We can possibly win fights, but the Cannon Barrage is going to do so much damage, given how fed he is. He's almost level 16 as T1. Is this a Desperation Baron? This is really scary. Khan has teleport, but he doesn't even really need it as Cannon Barrage is available. He hasn't even needed to use it. And T1 are going to back away from the Baron as Faker, taking way too much damage there from Showmaker, as inner turret will fall. Gumayusi breaks the bubble, I like it, with his W. And now Khan just getting to work on this inhibitor turret as well.
See that chunk into that turret? I think every turret around the world just monked a W simultaneously. I mean, this guy, he's pretty fed. He's getting there. You got to be careful. And the second Gnar steps up, he backs away, because he's very far down the lane, but still, the potential, you can see it there. And that's going to be the thorn in T1's side. They have really fed carries, and they have late game potential here with Azir Samira. That is still a thing. But, I think they need some more time. I don't think going for these Barons is a good idea, even though they have so much Baron damage. Oh, Showmaker!
Well, okay, yeah, and in goes Carrier, looks for Showmaker, but he's going to make his way out. Unbreakable Will there will keep Beryl alive for now, as Showmaker actually dives back in, and a lot of damage is taken, but that is the Cannon Barrage now on cooldown, as we're very close to another Cloud Soul. I apologize, I'm starting to feel like it's my fault, as we've got another Cloud Soul here this game. As Voidseeker will find the Baron under fire from T1.
T1 very aggressive with this Baron attempt again. They want to turn, I would imagine. Let's see what they can do.
Yep, Canyon pretty low on his health bar, and you can see the Zoe also very, very low. Canyon uses his Gale Force and everything, and it's stolen by Showmaker! Was that a stolen smite? I think it actually was. Nothing that they could do about it. The Gangplank going to take down the Gnar yet again, as Gumayusi does get one in the fight, and now Faker finds himself running for the hills. A triple kill for Khan's Gangplank, who is silencing the haters here this game. As Faker just does a few fancy moves, flashes his way out. He will survive, but the rest of his team won't be so lucky.
Oh, man. We're going to have to look at the replay on that one. Showmaker just... Oh, that is massive. He steals it right from underneath T1. And this is going to mean the inhibitor absolutely going their way. Now, we got Olaf coming up, so they're not going to go for the win here, of course. Still very early on with the Death Timers, but still a massive victory in that team fight. 6-0 and 2 now to the Gangplank, who's just stacking it up. So look at this, the stolen smite. You called it, Atlas. He had it over the wall, and there it is. I think he actually hits it with his with his paddle star is what last hit it. He smite paddle starred and got the kill on that one. And then the fight is forced here. You see Gumayusi's going in there 1v5. He's like, oh, we lost the Baron, let's go in. But yes, I mean, you're stacking it up and you're about to hit that, you know, that climax as the Samira in the team fight, but I don't know if that was your moment, really. So
yeah, I'm not going to give that an S. I don't think.
He went very much ahead of the rest of his team. Didn't really have much backup. We saw that Kana also was trying desperately to zone everybody off of the Baron, so he blew his ultimate before the fight even started. So there were so many things, and I think the communication, the call should have been, okay, you know, we lost the Baron or we got the Baron, let's back away. But instead it was, you know, we lost or won the Baron, let's go in, let's fight. And I think that led to, you know, the triple kill going the way of Khan in kind of an unfortunate scenario there for T1, but a huge pickup play there for Damwon as they will try to push this advantage that they have.
Wow. I mean, Khan did a team's worth of damage in that last fight. And I think that was just barrels, because I think he used the cannon barrage a little bit earlier on. So, yeah, Khan's a big deal right now as Showmaker bouncing over the wall, Carrier getting out with a Justice Punch as Khan takes whatever he wants on this map. In fact, there's no such thing as a T1 jungle, it's a Khan jungle this stage as he sets up some barrels and notices that Kana and Gumayusi are moving in, and he's just going to make his way out. Yeah, this is looking more and more difficult for T1 to get back into this game, and more likely that we're going to have a game 3, Valdez.
Yeah, and what happens when you have a team fight like that is, you know, you had some big wins on the side of T1. Your AD carry was so far ahead, and even Faker, you know, had what seemed to be enough of a CS lead to feel like he was ahead on the Azir in the late game compared to the Zoe. But Zoe picks up more assists, Ghost gets back in the game, gets some extra farm. Now Ghost is firing on all cylinders, whereas he was kind of a ghost for the entire beginning of the game. So all of these pieces that maybe Damwon were missing and were, you know, inhibited by T1, or T1 had leads in those spaces, are kind of lost in that last team fight. And now anything can happen. Yes, T1's comp is still strong in the late game, but I mean, you see the damage that Gangplank does at this point. It might not matter.
No, he's very, very frightening, and when he's waiting in brushes like this, it is very, very scary. I apologize, guys. That was, in fact, damage throughout the entire game, not in the last team fight. So, of course, Khan is going to be well and truly towards the top of that number. Sometimes it's just difficult to see.
Yeah, 15K.
The minute details.
The fight would have been pretty...
Well, I didn't look at the number, you know. I was just looking at the bars. So I'm just an idiot, okay. Is basically how that one goes.
We forgive you.
Please forgive.
T1 look like they're ready to fight.
Yeah, posturing right now, of course. You could imagine as Gumayusi, you just want to have your opportunity, right? He just put together his Infinity Edge, and we know what Samira's can do if a fight gets out of control, but the problem is that Damwon have so much extra money. It's a 10,000 gold lead, and Khan doesn't have to be there to be threatening. He's now just going to await the Cloud Soul as Cannon Barrage will come down and deal with this minion wave. Two-man pulverizes. Good. Faker has to go golden to keep himself okay, but he's not. Showmaker going to finish off the kill. The Dragon going to fall down in the meantime. The headbutt goes over. Canna gets a Gnar off, but it's not exactly what they want. But the cow will still fall. Samira going to try and lock down that kill, but it's not before Ghost can get a Q off and take him down. As now Canyon trying to keep them in his jungle. Showmaker picking them off like fish in a barrel. And now Khan finally gets himself in here. LM desperately trying to get away, but of course, Showmaker lands a blind bubble and then pops him with the paddle star. All too easy as Khan, okay, going for a little bit of a 1v1, but instead he's going to invite his friends, doesn't want to take the risk, as that's going to be the ace. And I have a feeling we're going to go straight to that game number 3.
I think we're looking at it. It's pretty insane lead now to the side of Damwon Kia. 11,000 gold in the lead. I kind of like the idea, you know, T1, they took their chance. They didn't just sit here and bleed out. Now, they could have defended pretty well with the Azir, but instead they get aggressive. It's fantastic engage from Beryl, catches the two of them. Faker with no flash at this point. I don't think he should have been up that far. He gets caught out. This ult from Kana a little bit early. You could see that even after that, They have so much damage, but the fact that Gumiusi eventually dies to Ghost means that they lose a lot of that damage, and eventually they do all just get hunted down. So it was pretty cute. I like the skirmish idea that T1 had, even from behind. And you could tell they're still pretty confident, even though the numbers don't tell the same story.
Yeah, and if the team fights work, I mean, they will work well. Damwon's composition is more about, you know, what we saw at the end of that, as another fight is going to break out. There's the Pulverize. Cannon Barrage, so much damage from Damwon in response, but no one on T1 is dead just yet. They still want to take these fights. They're trying to get as many R buttons out of these guys as they can. And Cannon Barrage plus the collateral damage, that's two pretty valuable ones.
The Baron.
It's not going to stop Damwon just moving over to the Baron. They do so much damage. This is just two people. And it is really difficult to deal with. There's the Justice Punch to avoid dying as Khan has to flash. And then the follow from Faker, but Khan,
they get him.
Still alive. The shield bow did a lot of work. Some low health bars as in dives Ghost. Now flashing away. They're trying to play the smoke and mirrors as Faker falls towards the top side to another Paddle Star carrier. Might just need to try and get out of this one as Canyon is going to wipe the floor with him. And unfortunately for T1, Damwon's wallets are too heavy and they're going to be able to take them down. Another ace. And another trip down the mid lane, this time to try and finish the game.
We're going to a game number 3. That's what happens after that teamfight victory. They get the gangplank, but they lose everything else. As at this point, like I said, everything else on the side of Damwon Kia just came online just on time to give them the victory in this one.
Yep, that is Khan's first death. He will remain in the death chamber as this Nexus is going to fall down, and Damwon Kia, our world champions, will answer back.